everybody, and welcome. I'm Ben, and today we're talking about the 1974 TV movie, The Phantom of Hollywood. This was a film that when I was younger, in high school, I had to watch the few times it was posted on YouTube or Daily Motion. And that's because there was no VHS release of this. You had to use less than honorable means if you were going to watch it at all, because it had only ever been released on TV. Once in a while you could catch a rerun, but I never found one on TV. And then just recently, look at that, a DVD release. Thank God. Finally, as of this year, the film is officially part of my Phantom shelf. Here's a little history for you. In the early 1970s, films started being shot more and more on location. It wasn't that films were never shot on location before. You did have movies like Hitchcock's Shadow of a Doubt, which was shot on location. However, it was pretty unusual. But by the 70s, cameras had become so light and sound equipment had become so advanced that they were able to go out and shoot on location for almost every movie. This meant that the studios keeping all of the backlots where the great golden age of Hollywood was filmed was actually costing them money. See, they were just paying to have all of these warehouses and sets and studios that were just filled with things that nobody was using. At MGM in particular, Lot 3 had been demolished and sold to build condominiums. Backlots 4, 5, and 6 were also sold off, this time for commercial development. Lot 2, however, was left. Now if you're wondering, what's so important about Lot 2? Why are you acting like it's such a priceless piece of history? Well, it's where Singin' in the Rain and An American in Paris were filmed. Not only that, but Meet Me in St. Louis and about 24 other classic movies, and many of the sets were not only still standing, you see them in Phantom of Hollywood being demolished. Seeing sets from For Me and My Girl, Meet Me in St. Louis, Singin' in the Rain, and Bandwagon do not help the case when you're trying to justify what MGM did here.
But believe it or not, I'm not going to ask you to ignore that aspect. In fact, I think what makes it great is precisely the thing that most people hate about it.
Now, although they've rebranded the studios as Worldwide Studios, it's not only clearly MGM, they even take the pains of showing you the sets and juxtaposing them with actual video from the movies that were shot on those sets. And of course, they're MGM movies. I particularly like this little element because it's almost like the filmmakers are setting up for you in the opening scene. Hey everybody, look, this is priceless history here. Just keep it in mind as we go forward. The film starts off with a journalist in a helicopter, kind of filling us in through exposition as to what's happening.
Today's sophisticated audience wants roll for roll, not the back lot. Also, the studio backlots are worth millions now as real estate. Fantastic props and fabulous costumes go to the highest bidder at tomorrow's auction.
Then we start into our story proper, and we get a good introduction for the Phantom. I mean, very good. Two vandals break into Lot 2 and start destroying it. That's right. You're watching two guys destroying priceless art right in front of your face. Now this is where a lot of people check out and say, like, I can't believe that MGM was so brash that they just did this, and it's almost like they were bragging about it, but I disagree. And I think the writer and director went out of their way to immortalize the stupidity of MGM, because everything in this movie paints the Worldwide Studios executives as absolute dunderheads. And yeah, I don't think it's any mistake that the vandalizers are two men. Just two men. Because two guys were pretty much in charge of everything that was happening at MGM at this point, and the reason why all of this priceless history was being destroyed. I think this is a very subtle way of saying that the executives at MGM are vandalizing art. That they are two people who just come in and wreck everything. If I may editorialize just a little more in this review, I think it's really funny that we were like, no more sets, no matter how lavish and beautifully built, no more sets. And you know what else? No more rear screen projection. We need to get out there and shoot things on location. Then within 10 years, all of the great movies of the 80s were pretty much shot in studios, a lot of it being shot in front of rear screen or blue screen. Then we moved to green screen, and now we're right back to rear screen again. It's almost like destroying all of this movie magic was utterly a waste. The Phantom shows up and kills the two guys vandalizing the lot, and I love that he's dressed like an executioner. It really gives the vibe that he is actually exacting justice on these people who want to destroy a beautiful part of cinema. Christine, Randy, in this production, is not in love with the Phantom, and the Phantom's not in love with her. In fact, they barely interact up until the climax.
This evening dress worn by Miss Jean Harlow, together with two other customers.
Hard to watch, isn't it?
Yeah, it's yesterday down the drain. I better get back to work. I may be next on the block.
We meet Ray and Randy, who are kind of our Raoul and Christine equivalent. They're very charming and very believable leads. I really like their relationship. It's kind of cute. Now, funny enough, they're probably the oldest Raoul-Christine archetypes in any Phantom movie, but I like them. I think their chemistry is a lot better than most of the Raoul and Christine relationships we've seen up to this point.
Your place or mine, baby.
Well, if it's going to get complicated, let's just forget it, huh?
Skip dinner tonight?
What is it? You don't like my hair, my lips?
Later tonight?
Your place or mine, baby.
By the way, just to continue my little thought about how this is actually about the MGM producers, Skye Aubrey, the woman who plays Randy, is actually the daughter of one of the MGM executives. And guess what? Randy, as a character, is also the daughter of one of the Worldwide Studios executives. Now just try to tell me that there wasn't some meaning behind that.
Several people are getting maced by the Phantom, including some guys who come in to basically plan out how they're going to destroy everything. One guy gets distracted by a set that he remembers from an old movie, and when he goes in, the Phantom kills him. So bodies are just falling right and left. Now, I personally like Ray a lot. He's a publicist, and yet he shows us immediately that he's going to be very moral, and he actually really values life, and it's not all about the company's image. So when somebody gets killed and he thinks it's an accident because somebody was just breaking into the lot, he doesn't say, no, keep it out of the press because it's bad publicity. He tells the police, no, we want that sort of bad publicity. It'll warn other kids to stay out of here and realize this is not a place to break in and play around. So he's a good guy. Ray gets led to a man named Otto, who might have some ideas about what's going on. He has all of these still photographs of the golden age of Hollywood, and they're trying to figure out who might be committing all these murders. Otto is played by Jack Cassidy. Now, it's really easy to miss why this is so brilliant now. Jack Cassidy is a fabulous actor, very old-fashioned, kind of Shakespearean, a little bit more over the top, which is kind of how I like my acting, and he is a great actor, very underrated by today's standards. He mostly is known for his work on TV, including several episodes in which he played the villain on Columbo. Columbo is my second favorite show of all time, so I just think that's kind of cool. Jack Cassidy, as far as I can tell, would have still been the biggest name in this production at this time. And so when you see Jack Cassidy appear as Otto, that's kind of where you would expect Jack Cassidy to end up, right? You would think he would be the Phantom in this. And they even go through pains multiple times whenever they show the Phantom or see him lurking around. You see him lurking around a lot in this production, almost at the end of every scene, which is really good because it actually keeps him, present. Even when he's not in the scene, even when they're not talking about him, you feel like the Phantom's always watching. It's very creepy. But throughout those scenes, they make a point of always showing that he's wearing a big, fancy ring. And then when we see Otto wearing the ring, we think, oh, Otto must be the Phantom, right? Because surely Jack Cassidy is the Phantom. So Otto must be the Phantom, and he's trying to save the place. But no, it turns out the Phantom is actually Otto's brother. Dun, dun, dun. By the way, the Phantom in this version is named Carl. Turns out the Phantom and Otto are brothers, and Otto confronts the Phantom and is like, hey, Carl, I'm going to turn you in. Again, that name, Carl. I'm going to turn you in if you don't stop murdering people. So what does the Phantom do? Let's take a step back. If you know somebody is homicidal and they're killing people and they're probably a little unhinged, and you threaten to reveal them, what do you think they're gonna do to you? Yeah, I guess that counts as a chandelier fall in this production. And it's pretty good. Although the outermost part is just kind of banners made of wood and paper, the centerpiece has a big speaker in the middle, and I could totally buy that crushing somebody. By the way, this happens in the middle of a masked ball. That's right, something that gets cut out of a ton of versions. There's not even a masked ball in the Charles Dance version, yet Phantom of freaking Hollywood has a masked ball scene. Now, right after the chandelier fall that kills Otto, the Phantom abducts Randy. So yeah, this Phantom abducts his Christine archetype right after the chandelier fall, just like in the book. Is it not bizarre to anybody else that this version keeps more plot points than some of the other versions that are actually meant to be adapting the book? This version also features the only journey to the lair, as far as I know, that takes place outdoors during the daytime. They get to the Phantom's lair, which is sort of a off-the-map cellar in Lot 2, and in this cellar, we see the Phantom's lair, which is one of the best Phantom's lair sets I've ever seen. Look at this thing. It's like a medieval masterpiece. This is where we get more revealed about the Phantom's backstory, and he really does, just like any good Phantom, go from powerful to pathetic.
Here, look, see it all. See who I am and what I am.
He's a powerful guy. I mean, he's like in excess of 60 years old, probably close to 70 in this character. And yet, this character is able to go around killing all these people who are much younger than him, escaping the police, on foot. And so, yeah, it does actually kind of fit that this man, when he reveals his backstory, crumbles apart, and you see that deep below all of this power that he's grabbed for himself to try to make himself feel big again because he lost his fame and his good looks, that he actually is just a broken little man inside. I just love that about these stories.
I was Carl Warner, the actor. And a fine actor. Yes, yes, this face was handsome. It was my first big film. I was D'Artagnan. I got to the wall too fast. The explosive charge went off in my face. Then I would be scarred for the rest of my miserable life. My career was over. My life was over.
The Phantom has kidnapped Randy as a hostage to make sure that nobody can destroy his home. But when he overhears that they're all gung-ho that they're going to pretend to give him the deed, but the deed will be worthless. So they're still not going to give him what he wants, they just want to get Randy back. So the Phantom kills the executive. Then the other executives who are left decide they're just going to bulldoze the lot anyway with Randy inside. You see, this is what I'm talking about. This is why I don't think MGM realized what the writer and director were really doing here. Because now they're depicting the executives as people who are so greedy that they actually don't care about somebody getting killed as long as they get their way. Now, yes, they frame it as, oh, but if we do that, it'll flush the Phantom out and Randy can escape. That is a terrible, terrible excuse for what they're doing, and I think they know it. What the writer and director really did in this film was immortalize MGM as a bunch of douchebags who are willing to destroy history, destroy people, destroy lives and careers if necessary, in order to make a quick buck. And all of this is kind of summed up in the Phantom's character. The Phantom wasn't an actor from the golden age of Hollywood, and when he lost his good looks in an accident, he was unable to continue his career. We find out that he's been spending the entire time there wearing the actors' clothes, eating their food, using their props, doing things so that he can feel like a star again. He also, in a way, is sort of a metaphor for fans of the golden age, and what we were trying to hold on to, which clearly the big wigs in these companies did not care about. As has been the case since the beginning of film, they don't see it as an art form, It is just about money to them. Once they start bulldozing, there's no stopping it. So the Phantom goes out and starts killing people by shooting arrows at the guys driving the bulldozers. And I gotta say, it's one of the coolest, most Phantom-y things I've seen, despite the fact that the Phantom in the book never uses a crossbow or a bow and arrow. Ray figures out who Carl Vonner is because of his relationship to his brother Otto Vonner. He's even able to find Carl's hideout and rescue Randy right at the last minute. It's a very tense little scene, and I quite like it. They think they have the Phantom cornered, and while he's on one of the big sets, they destroy it. Yes, they actually destroy the real set right in front of your eyes. They want you to watch as history is destroyed. Again, this really drives home the fact that they were really doing this. This was not like they built fake recreations of these sets years later. No, these were the real priceless sets, and they wanted you to see them being destroyed so that you never forget what MGM did. And as it turns out, the Phantom got away anyway. They couldn't catch him in the collapsing of the buildings. The Phantom stands on top of a big bridge and gives one last speech. "You fools, I am not among your ruins. I live in a world of castles, of palaces, of mansions, in dreams. My world is invulnerable to your machines and to your progress. You will never find me." At that very moment, he slips, breaks through the railing, and falls to his death. As the Phantom plunges to the ground, we keep freeze-framing and flashing back to elements of these classic sets being bulldozed. In other words, they're juxtaposing the death of the Phantom as he plummets to the ground with destroying all of these sets. If the Phantom is sort of a metaphor for Golden Age Hollywood actors, then we see how when the world of that illusion gets destroyed, the artist kind of dies too. It is strangely poetic in a movie that most people really give no deep thought to. So all in all, is it like the best movie ever made? No, not really. But is it as bad as some people have said? Absolutely not. It's actually a very intelligent movie in terms of, hey, this is happening, and they're going to make money off of it, no matter what. So let's make something that really kind of immortalizes what a dumb decision all of this was. And at the same time, we're immortalizing these sets. We're making sure that there is a sort of a catalog that people can look at and see what these things were like from all angles. We'll just work out excuses to show it on film. And overall, I think it does work for that. I like the story. I actually think it's much better than a lot of people give it credit for. And what they were really trying to do with it, I think, had nothing to do with the story itself. And that, in a way, makes it one of the most interesting Phantom projects ever filmed. At 74 minutes, it's not long. It doesn't overstay its welcome. If you want to see a lot of really cool film history that you really can't see anywhere else, kind of in the background of a story that I could understand if you found lackluster, then this is definitely one to check out. If you're a big Jack Cassidy fan like me, then it's definitely one to check out. He is probably the best in the film, and the movie is constantly interesting. There's no big lagging areas where it's just boring. It keeps your attention. It moves along fast enough. But the real reason to see it is because, and I can't get it across just through my little commentary here, it is fascinating to see what they got away with and how they are spitting in the studio's face every minute of this film. They are calling them vandals, they're calling them criminals, they are saying that they have no value for life or for art, and they are putting it in a movie with the studio's name on it. It's kind of impressive if you really just think about it from that perspective. But that's all I have for today. Thank you everybody for watching, and I will see you in the next Phantom.